each disappearance. Public alerts charged in 2006. The Oakland County child killer describes the individual or multiple individuals responsible for a series of serial killings involving at least 4 children. The victims were abducted and later murdered, with forensic DNA testing indirectly pointing to 2 suspects. One of these suspects has passed away, while the other is serving a life sentence for offenses against children. Despite creating a DNA profile of the main suspect from samples taken from the victims, there is no match with the DNA of any individuals connected to the case. Between 1976 and 1977, 4 children aged 10 to 12 disappeared in Oakland County while traveling to or from various locations near their homes. Welcome to the place where you'll find your perfect accommodation. If you're the owner of a hotel, motel, or a similar establishment, don't hesitate to reach out for a potential collaboration. Their bodies were found in public areas within 19 days of each disappearance. All the children were either strangled or shot, and the 2 boys were victims of sexual abuse. After the victims' deaths, the perpetrator scattered their bodies in locations around Oakland County, visible from roadways. These incidents prompted a murder investigation, marking the largest in U.S. history at the time. The case received coverage from Detroit's daily newspapers, numerous radio and television stations. Public alerts were issued, cautioning about the potential presence of a serial killer in the Oakland County area. The Michigan State Police took charge, leading a task force comprised of officials dedicated to investigating the deaths of the 3 children. After King went missing, a woman reported seeing a boy resembling him, conversing with a man in the pharmacy parking lot he visited in 1977. A sketch of the suspected kidnapper and his blue AMC Gremlin was released, prompting authorities to question every Gremlin owner in Oakland County. Investigators developed a profile based on witness descriptions of the man seen with King, a white male, aged between 25 and 35, shaggy hair, and sideburns. The profile suggested he had a job providing mobility and could keep children captive for extended periods without arousing neighbors' suspicions. The force examined over 18,000 tips, leading to roughly 24 arrests on unrelated charges and uncovering a child pornography ring. Despite their efforts, the task force struggled to make significant progress in the investigation. It disbanded in December 1978, and the state police took over the ongoing inquiry. A few weeks following King's murder, a psychiatrist collaborating with the task force received a letter from an anonymous author. The letter, fraught with spelling errors, claimed to be written by a sadomasochist slave of the killer. According to the author, both had served in the Vietnam War, with Helper being traumatized by having killed children. Helper sought revenge on more affluent citizens, like those in Birmingham, for their involvement in sending forces to Vietnam. Author expressed fear, remorse, and a deteriorating mental state, admitting to accompanying Helper in seeking boys to harm. Author requested the psychiatrist to print the code words, "Weather Bureau says trees to bloom in 3 weeks," in the Detroit Free Press. Author offered photographic evidence in exchange for immunity from prosecution. The psychiatrist arranged a meeting at a bar, but author failed to show up and was never heard from again. Archibald Sloan emerged as a person of interest when hair samples discovered in his car matched hair found on the bodies of King and Stebbins. However, the matched hair did not belong to Sloan himself. A witness reported seeing King being abducted by 2 men, one in his late 20s and the other bearing a strong resemblance to serial killer John Wayne Gacy. Gacy's DNA did not align with the DNA found on the victims' bodies. In Parma Heights, Ted Lamborghini, a retired auto worker involved in a 1970s sex ring that targeted young boys in Detroit's Cass Corridor, was arrested by the police. Among the 5 men implicated in the ring, Lamborghini and 1 other were the only living members when charged in 2006. Lamborghini faced 19 counts of child sexual assault, while his ring partner, Richard Lawson, faced 28 similar charges. Investigators, on March 27, 2007, revealed to Detroit television station WXYZ that Lamborghini was considered the primary suspect in this case. Opting to plead guilty to 15 sex-related counts related to boys, Lamborghini declined a plea deal that included a polygraph test on the Oakland County killings. He also turned down an offer of a reduced sentence in exchange for a polygraph on the case. In 2007, Mark Stebbins' family filed a death lawsuit seeking $25,000, alleging his involvement in the abduction of Stebbins, leading to his death. Lamborghini has not been formally linked or charged in Stebbins' death. Attorney David Binkley pursued compensation, including funeral costs, for Stebbins' brother, Michael, emphasizing that money is of secondary importance. The case gained renewed attention when Barry King, the father of victim Mark, sought information release from the state police regarding Chris Bush. Chris Bush had been in police custody on suspicion of involvement in child pornography before Mark King's abduction and reportedly died by suicide in 1978. Despite no gunshot residue or blood spatter being found on him, and the entry wound being between his eyes, Bush's death raised suspicions. Additionally, 4 shell casings were discovered in his room, and he was neatly wrapped under his sheets. Blood-stained ligatures and a hand-drawn image resembling victim Stebbins screaming were found in his apartment. Notably, there had been no confirmed activity by the Oakland County child killer for almost 20 months prior to Bush's death. Subsequently, the state police released 3,400 pages of investigative records to Barry King. Barry King acquired police reports revealing new details, including DNA testing on suspects and the blood-stained ligature and sketch found in Bush's apartment. Catherine Broad, King's sister, compiled an archive of investigative materials as the case unfolded. After delving into the case records, the King family created a documentary named Decades of Deceit. The documentary criticizes the police for what is alleged to be inadequate investigations, uncooperative communication, and neglecting leads. Proceeds from the documentary's sale were donated to the Tim King Fund, dedicated to aiding abused children and supporting activities for children. In 2005, an individual known as Jeff emerged as a significant figure in the Oakland County child killer case. He recalled a 1977 relationship with an acquaintance, later providing atypical observations and details to investigators in 2010. Jeff suggested a connection to satanic rituals, pagan holidays, and Wiccan rituals, citing information from letter. In 2010, he presented evidence to investigators and prosecutor Jessica Cooper, proposing involvement from the Department of Justice. Cooper dismissed his theories as rambling. Jeff corresponded with victims' families and journalists, claiming to be part of a team of investigators. He refused to release his findings without specific information from authorities, raising doubts about investigators' competence. Jeff theorized about Wiccan rituals and claimed 16 victims. Attorney Paul Hughes filed a $100 million lawsuit against Oakland County, alleging mishandling and seeking Cooper's resignation. The lawsuit, accused of profiting from victims' families, was dismissed in March 2012 due to lack of evidence. In February 2019, the Investigation Discovery Channel broadcasted a 2-part, 4-hour documentary on the killings. Investigative reporter Heather Catallo revealed that Arch Edward Sloan, a convicted child sex offender, had not passed a polygraph test. In 2012, advancements in DNA technology identified hair in Sloan's car, although it did not match Sloan's own DNA.